everybody? I'm David, aka Preacher Man, here on the Frazierchronicles podcast. And today we're going to be talking mental health, education, and economics. And today on this show, I have Ashley joining me. Ashley, go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Ashley Barbara Brown. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, licensed addiction specialist, counselor associate right here in North Carolina. So, yeah, happy to be here.
And I'm glad to have you on the show. So let's jump right into this podcast. My first question for you, after you told everybody who you are and what you do, my first question is, when do most people find out they have a mental health issue or disability? When do most people find that out?
Man, good question. I don't really think that a lot of times a lot of people don't ever find out. I think that when people come to counseling most of the time, it's because they're experiencing some symptoms right then and there. And, they kind of want to talk it out. And usually they don't see it, or we don't see it as symptoms when they come to counseling. It's more so like an incident or a situation that has occurred. They want to kind of talk about it, and after speaking with someone, most of the time they realize that, they have some mental health diagnosis. But a lot of times people go undiagnosed.
Okay. And as you said, some people go undiagnosed. Now, what are some reasons you would say people find it hard to seek therapy?
Oh man, a lot of reasons. It's just the stigma that's still with mental health. When you think mental health, most people say, the most famous line, I ain't crazy. I don't need no one to talk to, or I'm not talking to no stranger. And then again, it could also be money. Money is a factor, especially in this economy right now. People are trying to survive, and the last thing that they want to spend their money on is some extra services that they feel that they can go without.
Okay. And that leads me to my next question. So does that bring about that stigma? Is there a reason behind the stigma? Could that be the issue, or what could be the issue behind the stigma of getting mental health therapy and things of that nature?
Oh man, it's just the world we live in, having a label, having a label on you and being categorized as crazy or categorized as having a disability. You feel like it's going to interrupt or interfere with your opportunities or ability to do certain things. So, it's just the life we live right now.
Okay. And with that life we live and with the economy making so many different changes, are you starting to see an uptick in a lot of people with college degrees coming to you for therapy? Or are you seeing it with people with just high school and GEDs coming? Could you give us a little bit of insight on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think now more people are starting to seek out therapy, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I would, it's all walks of life from in terms of education, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, and we have people with doctorate degrees. And not only that, like I'm a licensed counselor, right? But I have a therapist. And so I think people are starting to realize the importance of mental health. Mental health is just as important as physical health. And I think slowly we're starting to gravitate towards that and understand how important it is. And no, it's definitely been an uptick in people seeking that. And so that has been a wonderful thing.
Okay. And I know with it being a wonderful thing, a lot of people are deciding, that they want therapy. When is the right time to seek therapy? Is there a right time? Is there a wrong time? Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, the right time to seek therapy is right now. And I say that I'm laughing, but it's so serious. There doesn't have to be an issue right now for you to feel like you have to seek therapy. That doesn't have to be an issue at all. We just need to be able to have someone have a safe space where we can be able to express ourselves without bias, without judgment, without feeling like someone is going to repeat what we say. And, we all need that. Nothing has to be wrong for you to seek therapy. And I just, that's the message I would love to get out if nothing else. Like, mental health is important and nothing has to be wrong for you to be able to seek care.
So I know when I was seeking care at one point, and you said you had a therapist, and I think everybody needs a therapist, honestly. because one is to help take that stress off of you as an individual. And I remember when I first went to therapy, and I was thinking like, is this a safe space for me? You know, is this somebody I can talk to and get help? Because at that particular time of my life, I was in the military, and I just was like, I don't think I want to get help because again, it was like the stigma. Then it became not just the stigma; it became, is this a safe place? Is this somebody I can go and talk to? And when I started gaining that trust, because I realized trust doesn't happen just at first talk.
Absolutely.
And I know you're saying when you're first starting with some people, you're gaining that trust, and you're trying to figure out, okay, is this a trust factor? Is this the one I can really talk to? So when you're out there, and this is a question for you, when you're out there and you're first starting off with a person, right, a client, someone who's coming to get therapy, and you've never met this person before, what are some thoughts going through your head when it comes to listening to them and then guiding them, trying to help them? What's the first thing that comes to them?
Oh man, the first thing that comes to my mind is just meet them where they are. You know, this is your journey, and I'm wanting to join you on that journey. You know, you're the guide to your life. I just want to be able to be someone you could reach out to, if needed and when needed. But you know, trust comes building that rapport. That is so important. And it doesn't happen in the first session. And sometimes it could take 2 or 3, and sometimes it may never happen. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. Just find another therapist that you vibe with, that, you know, energy fits. Every therapist isn't for everyone, you know? And so I think that that's important. And a lot of times people get discouraged if they go to therapy and realize that that wasn't a good fit, or they didn't like the therapist, and they're just like, therapy isn't for me. And it's like, no, that therapist might not have been for you. So, you know, don't give up in that. Go and seek out another therapist that you feel like you vibe with, and energy matches yours, because that is so important.
Oh, yeah. And I want to ask this question. I know this is probably a question that's way out of left field, but I'm going to ask it anyway. As a Black female therapist, do you encounter other races such as white who might feel like this is not a safe place right now for me? This is just, I'm just going to talk to them, but I'm not going to just come in and just give you everything in the first session.
Yeah, absolutely. No, see, I haven't encountered that currently, just because I am in private practice, and being in private practice, my clients get to choose, you know, coming to me. So by coming to me, they already know that I'm a Black female. You know, so even reaching out to me on my website, there's my face plaster right there. So they know what they're getting into. However, there has been situations, or when first starting out, when I'm working for other agencies, where you don't really necessarily get to pick your therapist, or you don't necessarily get to pick your clients. You work with the various groups of people, or diverse group of people, and, you know, they don't feel comfortable, you know, and then, you know, there's always those microaggressions trying to challenge you, you know, power struggles at times. But again, I don't really deal with that right now, you know, and that's the beauty of being a private practice too. You know, you get to kind of pick who you want, and they get to pick who they want.
Oh, yeah. So, when it comes down to therapy, and the reason I'm asking this question is because now we're moving to the educational part. When it comes down to education, how can a person educate themselves on mental health awareness?
Yeah, man, it's so many resources out here now in terms of like the internet, and when I say the internet, I mean in like articles. And that brings me to something else. I love social media. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. I love the benefits that it has. And then I also hate social media. Um, and especially when it comes to therapy, there are some good therapy online. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, people giving out good motivation or whatever, but don't go to TikTok to get diagnosed. And I'm gonna say that to people, because a lot of times people are watching TikToks, and there was like, you know, someone on TikTok said this, and this, so I think I have this. No. You know, don't listen to, not saying don't listen to it. And if it's helpful in terms of like good information or good advice or recommendations or pointing you to other resources, but don't diagnose yourself or label yourself or restrict yourself because you heard someone on social media list out a bunch of things. Because a lot of times, it's just anybody can get on social media and say anything that they want. But other than that, it's a lot of books out here. It's a lot of resources that are available now because it's starting to become to the forefront, especially in entertainment. You see the music industry, athletes, everyone is kind of being more forthcoming about mental health. So, yeah, it's definitely out there. It's definitely available.
And I like how you said it, social media and everything. But right now, with a current event with social media, there's a lot of shootings taking place. I mean, there's shootings in Texas, there's shootings in right in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a mental health issue, or should that be a mental health diagnosis for some of them? And what are some things that people who are out there might be struggling with, wanting to go out here, pick up a gun, to end these problems or to make a problem bigger? What would you say on that?
Yeah, depression is real. Suicide is real, and we're starting to see it a lot more. And I remember once upon a time they used to say that, suicide wasn't a black thing. And, that's no longer true. We're seeing a lot of black people starting to commit suicide, and I do want to say seek help in those situations. It's important for people to feel like they can have someone to turn to. Now, in terms of some of these shootings and different things that are occurring, our mental health, does mental health play a part in that? Maybe, I've never been in the business of trying to diagnose someone that isn't my client because I have no idea what's going on in their head. I have no idea, what they're going through, but I do know that mental health it's a crisis. And I know that, a lot of times people are crying out for help. Um, but at the same time, depression or anxiety don't necessarily mean go pick up a gun and start shooting people. We can't constantly blame crime on mental health. Now, does it have a factor or plays an impact? Absolutely. Maybe. But, having depression doesn't make you go out and shoot other people. Or having anxiety doesn't make you go out and shoot other people. That's behavioral.
Okay. So, as a therapist, and I know you said right now you're in private practice,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
can you talk about private practice? Like, what type of cases do you see, or give therapy? What type of people do you give therapy to, and how do you really help people who sometimes show that they really don't want help, but they're seeking help, but don't want help?
Yeah, and that's very real. Like people definitely come saying that they want help, but actions may say something totally different. Again, I meet people where they are because at the same time, you took that first step. You took that first step to come to therapy. Now, am I going to work harder than you? Absolutely not. But I am going to motivate, encourage, and try to challenge you to take some actionable steps, to make things better for you, to try to help you to grow. My first thing is like, what are your goals? If we can at least establish some goals, then we have at least a baseline in terms of what we can do to try to help you at least reach some of their goals. But, we do get people that, come and say they won't help, but they challenge everything you say and sometimes don't want to talk. And, sometimes I see that as a cry for help. And sometimes people just don't know how to express themselves. And sometimes people have been in situations or in families or are surrounded by friends or whoever the case may be where they haven't been able to have a voice. And so when it's time for them to have that voice for themselves, they don't know how to do that because they've been shut up or shut off for so long. So I definitely give people time to, try to come into themselves.
So now I'm gonna ask a crazy question. My crazy question is this because you went through a whole life that people come in, they don't want help, and you have to meet people where they are now. Do many people take your advice, or do they kind of take their own advice and kind of just figure out what will work for them?
Yeah, when it comes to advice, that's a good question. When it comes to advice, usually I like to ask people, do I have permission to give you this advice? Because sometimes people they come because they want to want to be heard, right? A lot of times people got a lot of people in their life right now that's giving them advice. And sometimes they might not want to hear another person's advice. So my thing is I'll allow people to kind of talk through things, process through things. And when you start talking, sometimes you realize that you already knew the answer. You just needed to be able to have enough silence, meaning not distractions around you where you can hear yourself and you realize that, man, I knew this all along. And my goal and my job, so to speak, is to help guide you to your own decisions. I don't want to make decisions for you, because if I make a decision for you, then you have someone to blame, right? Or
Yeah.
that might not be something that you want to do. So you're not going to be as motivated to do it. So my goal is to help you come up with goals and things that work for you, and maybe give guidance and actionable steps that can help you reach those goals. But ultimately, the goals and the decisions are yours.
And that's fact right there. So my next thing it leads us to, as we kind of come to a close, is the economical standpoint. Have you seen anyone who says spending money helps them cope? Have you ever seen that in therapy?
Oh, absolutely. That definitely can um, be a coping skill. There's so many things that people use to cope, right? And at this point, it's all about healthy coping skills. So if spending money is something that helps you cope and you're able to manage that in a healthy way, I mean, it's okay to go buy nice things. However, if shopping or spending money impact your ability to live a healthy, functional life, then okay, then that is something that we need to manage so that you can have other coping skills that you can go to that will be more healthy and beneficial.
Okay. And my last thing, as we come to a close, is Ashley, can you tell us what advice right now do you give people who might have COVID issues? Might say, hey, I didn't have mental health issues until COVID came because of maybe they lost their job, and
Mm-hmm.
because real life stuff is happening. So, what advice do you give to people that say, hey, I lost a job, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, about to lose everything, and I just can't take it anymore? What advice would you give to them?
I would definitely say seek support, and I get it. Everyone might not can necessarily say, let me go set up an appointment and find a therapist in terms of pay for some, but there are reasonable resources out here that can help provide um, therapy for people that may not have, any money necessarily to be able to get therapy, but also like pick up hobbies, get friends. And when I say friends, I mean healthy friends, people that can pour into you in a healthy way, a healthy environment. Surround yourself with people that if I can't move forward, I have such a healthy support around me that they can help push me just a little bit until I'm able to do it on my own. Right. So just surround yourself with people that want to see the best for you.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what therapy is. And having a therapist is, being like you said, is building that support to have somebody who has your back, who's saying, "Hey, I'm here for you." Like you said, I'm not going to do the work for you, but I will give
Right.
you some advice to push you along to make sure that you are, successful in whatever, step you need to be successful. So now it's time. We're going to move into allowing you and opening the floor up to you to tell everybody who you are, where they can find you, social media pages. This is your opportunity right here to gain some clients, because I'm quite sure after this, some people are going to be like, hey, let me go ahead and find this lady named Ashley who can probably help me with my issue or my situation. So the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that. So you can find me at www.releasetherapync.com. Again, that's www.releasetherapync.com. I do have an Instagram page that I got to get more active with. Like I said, I love social media. I hate it at the same time, but you definitely can check me out at Release Therapy NC. And that's on Instagram. So yeah, definitely reach out. And again, I may not be the therapist for you, but if you reach out and honestly just need some help or guidance, and I can refer you out to someone or just provide some resources, absolutely, I would do that with no problem.
And as y'all heard, don't come wasting time. Come in seeking that help. And it was good talking to you here on the show. I'm glad you came on the show, and I hope that we can do more shows, and that this is not the only one we do. And for all you that are out there listening, again, this is Frazierchronicles.com. Make sure you check out all the latest podcasts. Check out the YouTube, and make sure that you guys, if you're looking for a podcast platform, maybe you have a meeting and you're trying to have a meeting, make sure y'all check out Riverside. All right, check Riverside.com and join in on this. And today's show, guys and ladies and gentlemen, was sponsored by Decal World. It was also sponsored by Riverside as well. So make sure you guys go and check all those things out. But don't forget, we have Ashley here. Make sure y'all check out Release Therapy. And let's get this help because we all need it and we all can use a little bit of therapy. So from here until the next episode, I'm going to say peace out. And y'all make sure y'all get this therapy because life get real. And you heard it from Ashley herself. Get this therapy. Before we go, Ashley, anything else you want to say before we close out?
Just last thing is it's okay to not be okay.
Hey, y'all heard it right there. You heard it first. So make sure y'all check out Ashley at releasetherapy.com.